And we are live. Welcome everybody to the awesome and the amazing Deadzone live stream. I think this is the first of its kind. I am Coach, Family of Gamers. With me today is Tim. He is one of the Rules Committee. Say hi, Tim, to everybody.
Hey, how are you?
Okay, and also Arthur, who is also on the Rules Committee. And
Hey, hello everyone.
and we're just here. We're going to be talking all things Deadzone. Right now, I don't think we have any viewers yet. Oh, we have one viewer. That's awesome. So that's one more than we had a second ago. I know a bunch of guys said that they were going to come on, and let's just get started. So you guys, Tim, you want to just kind of give us your gaming background? How'd you get into mini wargaming and all sorts of good stuff so the guys will get to know each other?
Okay, well, so my name is Tim Jackson. I live in Wyoming, USA. Born and raised here. I spent, let's say, I've been wargaming since about 2002, and started out with Warhammer 40K, branched into Warhammer, followed that through, and then eventually started into War Machines and Hordes, and just all of these Games Workshop specialty games, Mordheim, Necromunda, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Found out about Mantic a couple of years ago when they started their first Deadzone Kickstarter. Mm-hmm. Have been following them since, and then joined on the Rules Committee. What was it, 2014? Something like that. Yeah, I think it was 2014, fall of 2014 that I started with them. First on just the Deadzone Rules Committee, and then I moved into the Dreadball as well when a spot opened up there. Okay. Other than that, I'm a grad student in agricultural and applied economics and environmental natural resources, and I've got a family with a wife and 2 kids.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, Arthur, you want to give us your little background?
Yeah, sure. So I got into tabletop war games sort of through tabletop role-playing games. Somebody in my D&D crew in high school was a Warhammer fantasy player, and he sort of sucked us all into that. So that would have been about 1993. So from there, as many people do, got into sort of the wider Games Workshop pantheon, I suppose. Lot of Blood Bowl, 40K, and Necromunda. But yeah, sort of drifted out of the hobby after high school, as just university and that taking up more of my time. But when I sort of stumbled across the first Deadzone Kickstarter, it was just sort of everything I'd been looking for in tabletop gaming. Just a small, manageable amount of models, a lot of replayability, a lot of room for expansion, and yeah, just really got me back into the hobby, and haven't really looked back ever since. But yeah, the Rules Committee was an opportunity to sort of get involved with a game that I loved. So I sort of put my hand up for that, and yeah, Magic must have liked my audition piece, and here we are.
Well, it's awesome. So I feel that I guess I'm the elder statesman here. I started mini wargaming back in, I think, the early 80s, like 80, 81, playing first edition D&D. And then just from there, the same, we run the gambit, start playing 40K. I really was like a hardcore, diehard 40K player. Still play 40K, still paint the models. Love the fluff of 40K. But they're an established company for over 25 years now. So they had legs underneath them. I got introduced to Mantic 2 Adepticons ago. I went to, what drove me to Deadzone was the tiles of the game. That's the first thing you see as far as Deadzone's concerned. I think the thing that makes it unique is it's like almost like a 3D chess set. And we saw it, and I went with two. It was myself, Andrew, and two other guys. We went to Adepticon together. They said, you got to go check out this one game. We're thinking about getting into it. And we had a thing where we're going to buy stuff together so we could all play together. And I'm not going to buy a game that I'm going to have and not have anybody to play with. It just doesn't make sense. It's not a video game. So Ronnie actually gave us our first demo, and we were hooked. So we bought all the factions. We went into it like that. And then when we came back, the 40K went down. We were playing a little Wild West Exodus, and then we started really hitting Dead Zone hard. And actually, last year went to Adepticon 2015. I ended up winning the inaugural Dead Zone tournament. So, we're all in for Dead Zone here. We're hardcore with it. I'm sure you guys did too. I maxed out myself on the Kickstarter. So I just the only thing is like I'm dying for the models. I wish they were here in January, and I understand, but it's like I don't mind waiting, but I mind waiting at the same time. So, but that's it. So that's my introduction. Mini wargaming on and off. Same thing like Arthur. You fall in and out of the hobby because of life gets in the way, but it's always there. And I see now that from when I had my break and I got back into it, it seems like this community is just huge. And between the Facebook pages and the YouTube channels and everything, it's incredible. And I love being part of this, especially Dead Zone. Seems like the Dead Zone guys are. It seems like we're into having fun with the games, not as much as killing each other. I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. If I see you across the table, I'm going to try to decimate you. I'm going to try to destroy you. I'm going to bring hard cheese to the list. But in all, it's all fun, because if I get wiped off the list, we did a battle report, and I had the Aberration, and he was going crazy. And then in that report, my opponent, Eric, shot me with the Hulk's gun and knocked him out in one. He rolled like 6 wounds, and I rolled one survive and wiped him off the table, and it sucked, but it was awesome at the same time. So,
Yeah.
That's what I like about Dead Zone so much.
Yeah, and I mean, I think just from my personal experience, certainly when I was younger, some other games sort of have a very hard competitive edge to them, but there's not the same level of sportsmanship that you get. And I mean, like you're saying, if you're playing to win, but you want to keep the fact that you're still friends at the end of the day.
Right.
Whereas some other communities, you don't have that same level of fair play and comradeship, I guess.
Well, like a lot of people say about the 40K guys, but you know what? If you're a dick and I play you, you're going to be a dick across the table. If you're a good guy, you're going to be a good guy across the table. That's the way I see it. I mean, I've had guys try to flip the table. They were about to flip the table. I wouldn't let them. But you spend 1,000 hours painting an army, and then you're gonna put them on the floor. That's don't bring that whack crap over here. It's just not going to happen. But but if you're playing a good guy, or you're just being competitive is one thing, but being unsociable is just horrible. I just think it's just calm down, play the game, roll some dice, and if you screw up, I mean, I've had games where I got wiped out first round, and it's terrible. All right, good. And we get that one out of the way, and we get a second game going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like for me, it's always been about the story. I tend to play the non-competitive lists, the really thematic ones. I rarely win, but I just have a lot of fun playing, and like games like I was really inspired when I found out about Dead Zone, because I thought it was going to be like a lot like Necromunda, which was far and away my favorite of Games Workshop's games growing up, because it was small number of models, lots and lots of story to it. You could name all of your different models, and you could follow their stories from one game to another. And so I mean, and I know that a lot of people are more interested in the tournament or league play or just competitive one-offs, but for me it was always about the story, and so I mean. I know that, like you, Coach, and the Deadzone podcast, you guys aren't particularly interested in the campaign section and stuff, but that's what really really caught my attention, and that's why we put at least I put a lot of energy into the campaign sections, because that's what really that's what really grabs my attention, and so I mean. We did a lot of work putting together these books, and we've had a lot of fun with it. But I mean, it's everyone's got their thing, and for me, it's the stories.
Mm. But I feel the same way, because like even with I know I can speak to you guys 40Ks wise. When I read the Ultramarine novels, I wanted to start an Ultramarine army, and I started reading about the Necrons, and I read a few stories on them versus the Ultramarines, and then on their own, and I started a Necron army. So I feel the same way. But as far as campaigns, we'll get into that. But because we haven't done a campaign yet, so we're looking to do a campaign. So we'll cover that. I think that'll be a great way, because I know a lot of people. I don't think it's daunting, but if you've never done a campaign or you never organized a campaign, I don't know where to start. Now, I have read the rules. I kind of get it, but maybe we'll hash that out. But what I really wanted to do was, the way I understood him, I know Mantic has a unique system, and this is the way I understood it, and kind of excuse my ignorance, but I thought Jake wrote it. It goes to Ronnie. Ronnie went and says, Jake, I like this. I don't like this. Do this. Do that. It goes back to Jake. Jake says, all right, I'll write it. Goes back to Ronnie, back and forth, back and forth. So I was doing the first video of the public beta. Now, I was lucky enough to get one of the few betas, because I remember I heard Ronnie was being interviewed, and he goes, yeah, I sent out the stuff to Deadzone Champions, and they're getting back to me with it. I was like, wait a minute, didn't I win the tournament? How come I don't have it? So I sent him a message. He says, oh, right, Coach, play it and send it back to us. And it was great, and I sent a few emails. But then I put up the video of the public beta, and then Arthur's like, hey, don't forget us. And I think, Tim, you said the same thing. Oh, we're working hard, we're doing this and that. So, I publicly apologize, but I didn't know. So if you guys, it's a two-part question. What exactly is the Rules Committee? And, like, how did you guys become part of the Rules Committee? Or, like, because you think about it, let's go back to GW. It's like, okay, we're writing this game. Well, we have some input. That's awesome, but we don't care. Play it at home the way you want to. You just play this game this way. But it seems like, you guys are not Mantic employees. You guys are just cool guys who help out with the game. So can you guys kind of give us a summation of, like, how you became Rules Committee and what exactly is the Rules Committee?
Sure. So back in 2014, there was just a post on the Mantic forums just outlining this program that they wanted to try out, and people were sort of asked to write up a short audition piece, either a
Kings of War.
league set. Yeah, Kings of War or Dreadball, and a bunch of people sent these things in, and Mantic said, right, we want you and you to work on this game, and you to work on that game, and yeah, Mantic's very what's the word I'm looking for? Informal in a lot of ways. So once we sort of started work on a campaign section shortly after the committee was set up, and so that process you were talking about with the back and forth between Ronnie and Jake, we got given a manuscript after that had happened, and sort of asked, can you guys read through this and start making some changes? And from there we sort of had a lot of internal discussions just amongst the committee. We worked up, I think there were a couple of iterations to Mantic, and yeah, sort of from there the 1.4 then um, went out for public consultation, and then we put together the 1.5 sort of based on that. Tell me anything you want to add there?
Yeah. So I mean, the basically what you said was how it went. It was kind of a back and forth between Ronnie and Mantic and Jake in developing the main rule set, and then after a while, Jake handed it off to Mantic. Somebody made some changes in house, and then they sent that manuscript over to us for us to polish, balance, and finish for them. And so that's kind of been our job, was to take the rules that Jake wrote and kind of get them finished and ready to go out. Just adding in the different abilities and equipment and point costs, stuff like that. I mean, it came to us with point costs and stuff, but you remember what those point costs look like, and we did a whole bunch of balancing and double checking and stuff, and so when Arthur was talking about the program, it was basically like you said, they were looking for a rules committee that was a group of volunteers from the community that would help Mantic to develop rules. We'd be helping them to write campaigns, write erratas, stuff like that. Keep basically upkeep on the games and stuff was the original intent, and at the same time, it's giving the rules committee members experience in the industry. It's helping us network, and because I mean, some of us are interested in doing this as a full-time job. My training is in economics, but I've used so much of that in game design. I would love to be able to pursue a job in game design after I graduate. So there's that, and really it's a way for Mantic to get some help because they're expanding their ranges really, really fast.
Right.
So it's a way for them to get help, but at the same time they're helping us to prepare for if we wanted to enter the industry, or when Mantic decides to start hiring in-game or in-house developers, then their rules committee is the first place they're going to start looking. So stuff like that.
So it's almost like for you, and I don't know, maybe also Arthur, it's almost like you're doing an internship with Mantic, because it's really interesting that your background in economics actually makes a lot of sense to help in the points cost system. You know, this is too much and this is too OP, or supply and demand, and you know, that's an interesting way of looking at it. You know, and then I guess, and also with the rules committee, if you get a bunch of volunteers, a lot of guys have a certain skill set that they can actually use. And that's extremely interesting. And then, like you said, you're gonna be in the business. And then, if you have an idea for a game or even to expand something with Mantic, you guys have the inside leg on that. That's something incredible. That's really, really cool. I didn't even think about that. That's really something. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to graduating. I'm actually graduating this May, and I'm looking forward to being able to get out there and look for jobs and stuff. I've been working on a game of my own that I'd like to eventually kickstart and produce. But for now, I'm just dealing with that sort of stuff. What did you want to say, Arthur?
Oh, I was just going to say, Tim's economics background has just been a huge asset to the team. Sort of the dark wizardry of statistics and things has been really, really helpful, especially in terms of the campaign economics, and yeah, you know, just a huge benefit to the game and to the team. It's been wonderful.
Thank you, thank you. You know, part of the reason I got into economics was because of I don't know if you've ever heard of game theory, but game theory is something used quite frequently in economics, and it's basically a study of strategic interaction. And so that's part of what got me into economics, and it's been a lot of fun finding a new way to apply it to something as fun as just playing games.
Yeah, that's, you know what, that's if you could find a way to make your hobby your hobby or your passion into a job. I mean, I'm kind of preaching to the choir here, but if you could do that, it just makes going to work every day easy. And
Yeah.
something you love, and you know, when you get that Kickstarter ready, you want a bunch of guys to play test it. Send it our way. We'd be more than happy to work out the kinks and help you out with that. That sounds awesome.
Thanks.
Absolutely. So, all right, guys that are watching, we got about 11 viewers right now. For some reason, the Q&A is not working. But if you want to post a question for Arthur, Tim, or myself, you could post it on YouTube, and Andrew will kind of relay the question to us, and then we'll get it answered. So we're just going to keep on talking with our Deadzone talk, and we'll get it from there. All right. So now, guys, I have myself a disclaimer. First and foremost, I love this game, and I don't know if you've heard some of the podcasts with Jake and Rob. I said Jake on purpose, but it's Jack and Rob. I refer to this as my game. So when you guys are working on it, don't screw up my game, and don't you know, mess the rules up, or don't you know, just don't mess it up. But the thing is that in my humble opinion, and it seems like the guys I've been playing with and some of the guys I've been talking with online, that Deadzone is going where it has to go. But it is not perfect. But I use an expression: a rocket is on course to the moon 90. It's off course 90% of the time. What NASA does is it moves it to be on course. That's what NASA's job is. So this game will not be perfect, and there'll be parts of it I don't like. But honestly, I'm saying I'm at a good percentage. I'm at like 90%. I really want to know what's you know what's going on with it, and I like it. So going forward, if I kind of come across a certain way or whatever, it's just because I'm interested in the game so much that, you know. So if you know, I don't know, if you take offense, you got to get a thicker skin. It's just the way it is, you know. But, you know, but we do love this game, and you know, I want to ask some stuff about it, you know. So you guys ready? We get into the nitty gritty of this stuff.
Let's do it.
All right. First thing, I've done a bunch of the videos, and I hate watching my own videos, so I had to go back and watch. But I got a few. Oh, wait a minute. What's that? Let's see. No, that's
that right there is our new rule book.
That's the book. That's the cover with the Forge. See,
Yep.
You listened, and you put my Forge Fathers on there, so I appreciate that. You know, I think that's awesome. I saw that last night on Facebook. The new cover. You know, I just want the damn thing in my hands, though. I'm chopping at the bit here, man. But hey, listen, if we can get a nice product and we're a little late, I don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
We got a few Kickstarters we're waiting about 4 years on, so I'm not worried about Mantic. 3 or 4 months, I'm not worried about it. Okay. Oh, all right, we're going to go to YouTube with a question. What's the question?
All right, from the Deadzone podcast, they say they're currently in the middle of a DZR game where Nastanza is killing everything.
Mm-hmm.
Will she and the other mercs be fixed?
You guys got that?
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
So they're saying that she's just too good at killing stuff.
I think she's too OP.
Yeah.
I think what this falls back to is the same thing that you and the Deadzone podcast were talking about.
Yeah, that's the guys who were asking the question, actually.
Yeah. We were in a big rush trying to get all of the new content all of the old content incorporated into the new rules set, because I mean, I don't know if you remember, but we only had like a month and a half to get everything finalized.
Yeah, because I remember I had 1.1, then it's like, oh, here's 2, then here's 4. I missed 3, so it was like, here's 4, and then we started playing 5. We played 5 for a week, and then it came out publicly, and I was like, I'm not special anymore. I don't have the inside track, you know.
Yeah,
but that was it.
We were really rushed trying to get everything done, and so the mercs were one of those things that just kind of had to fall by the wayside. We kind of fell back and just put in the all of the old stats, all the old abilities. Some of them we even had to go back and revise again because some of the old abilities just didn't exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, we kind of dropped the ball on the mercs just because we didn't have the time to put a whole lot of love into them. That's actually one of the things that we do plan on going back and working on later. It's just something that we had to get this book out, and they're not perfect, but at least you can play with them right now. So.
Yeah, you know, the with the merch though, what I was hoping for was, because when we had at Adepticon we had Mantic Open Day, and Ronnie sat there and said that, well, you could take, let's say, Sergeant Howlett for argument's sake. You take Howlett as a character, but if you take him as your leader, he will bring, like, I guess, maybe a special faction rule or something like that. He's going to expand on that. And he said that it was about a year ago, and we were like, wow, we can't wait. So we were all looking for it. But I understand what you're saying. Let's not put the horse before the cart. Let's get the base rules down. And once you have the base rules down like we have now, we can plug in anything we want. We could plug in the stanza. We could plug in anything we want at that point. Later on. I mean, we don't even have a lot of the characters because they're coming from the Kickstarter. So we don't have Blaine on the jet bike. We don't have the new Teraton or even the Aberration or whatever. We don't have any of those guys yet. So the Piper, we have nothing for them yet. So I'm glad you guys did that. You made the rule set, and then we can always go back, or listen, we're war gamers. We know that a supplement and models are coming out eventually. So I wouldn't mind buying a supplement of the characters and some campaign rules and things like that. But now we have the core rules that we can build upon, and I think that was very smart.
And as far as an answer to that goes, you were talking about the special characters giving special army rules and stuff.
Oh, here we go.
This is not in the not in the core rulebook.
Tim, that's too quick. Let me see that again.
Okay. This is not in the core rulebook.
Uh-huh.
But this is coming out in the infestation rulebook. You will get to see. I believe we have one for each army. We don't have all of them done, but we do have at least one per army.
Okay.
That's going into the infestation book, so you guys will see some character-led armies coming up. And then, like I said, we do plan on going back and revisiting everything, all of the other characters and stuff. So you'll be able to see more after that.
Okay. Yeah, the Deadzone podcast guys. I'm sorry, Arthur. The Deadzone podcast guys said that coming out with a whole new book of just mercs, or later on a book, they're fine with that. I'm fine with that. I think that's awesome because maybe I want to run an army without mercs. So I don't really. I'm not. And then honestly, I've been playing every game without. So go ahead. What were you going to say, Arthur? I'm sorry.
Oh, sure. I was just going to say the broad plan is to have each expansion for Deadzone will have a book for that specific setting. So if the next one's a jungle planet, there'll be rules for gaming in a jungle planet, and in that book there'll be what we're calling elite army lists. So the expansion books will have different army lists with the character-led models and their own army special abilities. So just keep an eye out for that.
And it is now. I'm coming to you as the consumer and as the excited child finding out that something's coming out. Is there so Infestation? We're going to get a bunch of guys. At least you said one per army. When is that one coming out? The Jungle Book. When would that be coming out? Is there a forecast?
Oh, yeah. That was a pure hypothetical. We don't know.
You're killing me,
Don't
Walker.
Sorry, dude.
No, but that's awesome. You know what? Because you guys remember back in let's say 40K 5th edition. I started playing the tail end of 4th, and then 5th came out, and it was like, all right, I'm playing Space Marines. I love Space Marines. When are they gonna get a new codex? Forget it, man. You got to wait like 6, 7, 8 years, and But just to segue to that. When I started playing, everybody was pissed off because we weren't getting rules and we weren't getting it was like once every 2 years we get a codex at a 40K. Now they're coming out like crazy and people are pissed off. I don't get it. Give me an orgy of information. Give me everything. Like you said, all right, Jungle Planet. An author, you have to write the Jungle Planet. Tell Jake, tell Ronnie. I'm going to send Ronnie. You have to do it. But what's nice about that is every game will be different. Every game will be, some like I got the Dreadball expansion, the Azure Forest, and then I like the cards that give you a different rules because of the weather. So it might be slippery, or it might be rainy, or it might be dry. The weather comes into factor, and that's pretty good. Because now, if you look around, some videos or some just in general pictures or whatever, as far as Deadzone, people are making jungle, people are making snow planets, people are making deserts. And what's nice is a 2x2 board. I can make like 8 2x2 boards and have scenery on 8 2x2 boards that will fill up maybe 2 4x6 boards. So
yeah,
it's pretty cool. All right, what are we going to do today? Well, we're going to go to XM4 and we're going to play on a desert planet. But then we're going to go back to Nexus Psi, which was more of a industrial planet. All right, well now we're going to go to Arthurville, which is a jungle planet, and expansions like that. That's great. See, I'm glad the guys that are tuning in are getting some crazy inside track information. Okay. All right, so one of the guys is asking from YouTube. Red Pet Zone, check him out. I like his videos. His battle report. Just started a channel that's going to specifically be Deadzone and Warpath. They have a Warpath one up, and they got some good stuff going on. So check them out. And they're asking is, so are there rules specific to Exum?
Yes.
Yes.
Definitely. The Infestation book will have a series of environmental effects that are an optional rule that you can use to simulate the environment.
Those were written by Lee, weren't they?
Yes, I think we all sort of pitched in a wee bit, but Lee definitely led the way on those.
Is that Liam Hall? What's his last name?
I'm sorry?
Is it Liam Hall?
No. I forget his last name. He goes by Norscan on the Norscan on the forums.
Okay.
He was the one that was leading the way on those. We all kind of divvied up the responsibilities, and that's what he really wanted to work on, was the environmental conditions. So he headlined those, and we backed him up. What we want to do is we want to write some special rules for each of the different planets and stuff that you can visit.
Yeah, that's what's nice about that too is you get together. Like I said, we'll discuss campaigns, and you can do that on a campaign, and you can go from different planets and stuff. But as a truly, like say, a competitive side or a tournament side, we're going to play a game. It doesn't matter where, but we will not have the environmental rules because obviously those are pretty random and they can change the game a lot. But if you're going to go to a straight tournament like we did at Adepticon, straight missions, straight rules, no outside factors and stuff. Because I guess the flavor of Dead Zone is in its narrative campaign, but if you're going to play competitively, I think you could leave it out with no ill adverse effects to it. You know, I think that's a very cool thing. You play with it or you don't play with it. It's up to you.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so there'll be the environmental rules. We've also done a few different effects on the campaign events table. So the big D88 table for exploring. There's a whole new one of those for XM4.
Mm-hmm.
And we also wrote a 5-mission linked narrative campaign to sort of help you tell the story of the Pathfinders coming in, looking for the Veermen and exterminating the Broodmothers, and the finale is set in a space station above the planet that everyone wants to try and get to and take over for their own reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's decent chunk of XM4 specific content in the book.
Nice. Now we one of the things that I think a lot of people have been asking for is, are there going to be rules to putting boards together? Or is it just like put boards together and play as you want and increase point size? Or are there going to be specific, like if you put a 2 boards together or put 4 boards together, are there specific rules for it? Or just put the boards together, go out there, play, instead of having a 200-point game, go to a 400-point game. But then are we playing Warpath? Is it is there something to that, or is it going to be just,
There's a couple of missions in the narrative campaign where you can put 2 maps together as an optional rule.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone has it, the Deadzone 1 expansion book, Incursion, has quite a few pages on running multi-map games. So if anyone's really super keen, then have a look in there, and it'll go into a bit more detail. But I don't know. I don't think there's anything specifically about multi-map games in general.
Mm-hmm.
Not yet, anyways. I mean, we might visit it in the future, but at least for now, we haven't written anything specific for multi-mat or multiplayer games or anything like that.
Right.
I would suggest look at Incursion for now, and then if you in the future, if there's a lot of call for it, then we'd definitely be willing to visit it and add it into one of the future games.
That's very cool. Yeah, because we tried that. We had a 2-mat 4-player game, and it worked out pretty good. It was pretty cool, but we might need the first go was fun, but we needed to tighten it up a little bit, I think. But you guys want to discuss some of the new rules, second edition rules? What are we calling? Is it Redux anymore, or are we just Dead Zone 2.0, or what's the? Or are we just straight up Dead Zone?
I will give you the full title off of the book as soon as I can.
You're killing me that you got the book there. You know that. You're killing me, right?
Oh, it's so a few weeks ago we got both the book and the infestation book as well in as a because they wanted us to go through and look at the just check the grammar, fonts. Just do a proofreading over the whole thing, and so that's why we have it. This is actually the edited version or the unedited version. I've got all of our comments listed on here, and we sent it back to them, and I've just kind of held on to it since then because I want the real thing. So I've just been kind of poring over this thing instead. So it's listed. So the title is Dead Zone: Deadly Skirmishes on Forsaken Worlds. So once we launch, we're gonna. I mean, people are still gonna call it 2.0 or call it Redux, but this is going to be Dead Zone.
Just straight up Dead Zone. Okay.
Straight up Dead Zone. You can call it 2.0 to distinguish it from its predecessor, but this is Dead Zone.
Okay.
So.
The new and improved Dead Zone sounds good to me. So let's talk about some of the rules that the guys came up with, and yourself, Jake, Ronnie. I got to tell you, the recon test at the beginning, as far as the initiative is concerned, is pretty cool. I like that, and I like that the leader that you take will either hurt or hinder, or help you to get a better recon test. You know, for either 3, 4, or 5. I think that's really cool. The other way, you know, a lot of people had problems with the initiative. You know, remember we used to pick the cards, and you know, oh, I got it or you got it. It didn't really matter to us. You know, initiative didn't matter to us. But I think that's a good step. You know, it's something cool. It's a kind of a cool aspect to the game. I'm glad they didn't do the thing where you pick out of the bag, kind of like bolt action or something like that. This is kind of a unique flair to it. And then you know, you get the recon value at the beginning. We don't really use that, but so you guys maybe go into that a little bit, like how the recon test came about and how to use those recon tests at the beginning of the game.
Yep, that was a Jake addition to the game. I think the idea was to both simplify things from the card deck system, just because Mantic wanted to remove as many barriers to getting into the game as possible. But yeah, the recon effects to sort of give you an extra point of customizability. If you like those, then great. If you just want to get stuck into it, then you don't have to use those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like the fact that if you want to use a recon effect, use it. And if you don't, it doesn't influence the game to the point where you're going to lose the game, or it's going to influence the game to the point of where it's overpowered. So it's not a terrible, you know. I mean, we played without it and we played with it, and obviously with it is just another dimension to it. But not having it doesn't influence whether you're going to win or lose the game. So I really like that aspect to it. All right, so
yeah.
Next one, let's talk the huge one, like you mentioned, was getting rid of the cards and bringing out the command dice. Now, when I first heard this, I said, "Oh my God, you're going to get rid of cards?" But you know, you're playing Deadzone. It's cards, man. Cards. It's all these cards. And what are you going to do? You're going to get rid of the cards? What the hell are you going to do? What are we going to do? So, you know, Ronnie said give it a chance. So we gave it a chance. The command dice came out. I don't miss the cards. The only thing, the cards are like, I don't think I'll ever get rid of them because I love those cards. And I got I didn't play Magic, but I walked in. I said, "Hey, look, you know, I have these cards. I want to protect them." "Oh, you got to get Dragon Skin. You got to, you know." The Magic guys jumped all over me, and they're like, "This is how you protect your cards." But the command dice are just such an awesome addition to this game. I think this really propels it to the next level. I really love the command dice. I'm going to get on you guys because you screwed my Forge Fathers over. But as far as the command dice are concerned, they really add a nice flavor and dimension to the game. And you know, how did that come about? That's a huge change. That's like saying, all right, we're going to use 6-sided dice instead of 8-sided dice. I mean, that was a huge change. How did that come about?
That one was another change. That one was in place before it came to the Rules Committee. The only thing we actually had to do with the command dice was developing the Army Special Rules, the Mantic Splat action.
Okay.
So, like I said, that actually came about before it ever reached us. I think Ronnie was looking for a way to speed the game up, and he and Vic came up with that. They wanted to streamline it and make it simpler and faster, and they came up with the dice and the different abilities that each side of the die gives, and the Mantic Splat and stuff. And the only thing we really added to it was developing the special army abilities.
I think the command dice are just a brilliant idea. I mean, they're intuitive. They're and something that tends to get overlooked is, as gamers, we love rolling dice and we love re-rolling dice. Just the tactile sensation of it. that clatter across the tabletop, and it just sort of feels like rather than having like an entire separate subsystem of the cards that you need to interact with on top of rolling your d8s and moving your figures, it integrates that whole thing to the same experience of playing the game.
Yeah, you know, I don't understand that. I go on, like, say, the App Store, and there are dice rolling programs. But the whole point of playing a mini wargaming on the table is the fact that you want to physically do stuff. You want to physically move models around. You physically want to interact with an opponent that's across the table from you. You want to interact with the terrain, and the dice. The dice are a huge part of it. So by taking, having a dice roller, or even the cards, but even the cards were interactive because you use the cards. You know what I mean? But like you said, I'd rather roll dice than cards. I mean, absolutely. Absolutely. So I got to blame you guys for my Forge Father, but we'll get to that in a little bit.
One thing I do want to add is the mission cards, the deck of objectives and things. That's something that the committee really likes, and I don't know, personally, I'm going to agitate if there's a future expansion, if there's room to bring those back. But yeah, it was just part of the greenlining that Magic wanted to have the missions in the book.
Well, you could always just get a deck of mission cards. That Mantic could come out with a deck of mission cards. I mean, you shuffle the cards and then you pick one or two of them, maybe a core mission and then a secret mission with it. And, I mean, that might even help with the secret mission if you have the card. And like, all right, I'm drawing my card. Oh, my secret mission is to infiltrate. So I'm going to hide that on the side. And, because later on you could cheat. You say, what's your secret mission? Oh, I rolled a 4. And then the game goes on and says, no, actually I rolled a 6. And it's this. So, maybe the card, I'm not saying me. I will not cheat in the game, but other unscrupulous people might do that. But yeah, having a mission card might be cool. And it's also, we were talking about this on the Deadzone podcast, where the table gets very busy. You have the command dice, although they take up some space. It was kind of a pain in the behind with the command, the circles. So you had a few and this and that and this and that. So now it's a little bit better. I think it's just everything that it replaced is that much better. Okay, so we have on YouTube, we got a few questions. You wanna just speak up, yell them out.
All right. So Dreadpath Zone said, speaking of splats, why does the Reb and Brocker leaders have to suck so bad? LOL.
What? Come on, man. Honestly.
All right, I'm gonna defend you guys. The Reb splat is good. It's very good. I really do like the Yindage one. The Fight from the Shadows, where you can only, you can't even shoot at him, so he'll just stand out in the middle of nowhere and use his splat. The Forge Father ones, boys, we got issues.
Okay. When developing the splats, we sort of started from what felt thematic, and then tried to work towards something that was evocative of the flavor of the model, but also had a concrete, tangible benefit in game. And I mean, they're not all going to be equally powerful, but hopefully they all are fun and will have a place in the game. The Reb one, always short. In my playing games, actually, that was really solid because you can never have enough grenades, you can never have enough ammo, and certainly like in campaign play, it's a great way to sort of boost up your stores as you're going on. The Chief Brocker one, Strike It Lucky. The idea there was like it can help you fish for intel tokens, try and get more VPs that way. If you desperately need an extra grenade, and who doesn't need an extra grenade, that gives you another chance to get one of those. I don't know. It's one of those ones that opens up options later on, and on paper it might not look like as whiz-bang flash as some of the other ones, but I like to think that it has its place. I don't know.
I'm not sold. You know, the Starforged armor I get the Starforged armor. Strike It Lucky, I'm not sold. I'm sorry. And Too Stubborn to Die is really good, but now it's a 3 out of 3 dice test, right? So
that could be errated to a slightly easier team.
You know, two out of tree, but 3 out of 3. You know, come on, it's that was tough because I had it and I was using it and I was like, damn it, you know, the one time I got it I rolled 2 8s and then I re-rolled it and thank God I rolled a 4 because if I would have rolled a 3 I wouldn't have got it. I mean it's a great rule, but it's hard. And the reason I'm saying that is because when you have that particular one, and this is, I think this is where it gets down to the mechanics. Because let's take for instance the Marauders. Okay, the one where you can steal. I have it here. It is the Tactical Genius. Okay, so you're allowed to steal it, which is dirty. It is dirty. It is fantastic, but dirty. When you're on the receiving end of it, it's dirty. The thing is the difference between Too Stubborn to Die and Tactical Genius is Tactical Genius, you roll the splat and you use it. Give me that dice, I'm going to take that from you. Too Stubborn to Die, I have the die. Now I have to roll something to get that die. So I think in the mechanics of it, I think that's where it's lost. If it was just like, all right, we're gonna get a splat and I'm gonna heal this guy, it would be the same as Tactical Genius, or you know what I mean, or Wheels Within Wheels. It would be the same, you know, or Overcharge.
I'll admit I should have read that one more closely. It wasn't until you guys brought it up that I realized that it was a 3 success requirement for it to work. And 3 dice, I mean, that's about with a 3+, that's about a little less than 25% chance of success each time.
But the Forge Fathers, the average is a 4+. So,
4+? I thought it was 3+. Okay, so then
a 3. I'm sorry. Their save is a 4+ on the dice, but you have to get 3 successes out of 3.
Okay, right. So yeah, so I mean that's not even a 25% chance then. So,
whoa! So you killed me.
Yeah. Like I said, I didn't realize when I read it that it was a 3 dice, 3 success thing. That like Arthur said, that may end up being something that gets erratic because that's a little rough.
Yeah, if you want, I'll write it in right now. I mean, no problem. I got my pen right here. I'll write it in right now. But you know, and that was the thing that I know we were discussing back and forth with the faction special rules on the videos. You guys were commenting like, oh no this, oh no that, oh no this. But I'm coming to you guys as a true player of Deadzone, not just, you know, a guy who sets up a thing with 3 pieces of terrain and said, that's it, I'm rage quitting. We've been playing it, you know, we've been playing it the way it's supposed to be played, and, you know, I mean, and as far as going through the betas, you know, it was really awesome to be part of a process where, all right, this is the main idea, this is like, you know, you kind of just regurgitate every idea out, and from where that first beta went to now, the public beta, which you guys said is pretty much it's dead on. It was awesome to see the progression, but like, you know, to see this like the one Forge Father, it was basically, it's not in here. I guess it didn't make the cut, but it was basically he was allowed to heal another Forge Guard. So the Forge Guard host guard could heal a Forge Guard wound. You know, guy with the the Forge Guard armor on it. That was fantastic because those guys never died. You know, it was like okay, I have a splat now here, and then like Tim, like you commented once, the splats are so rare as it is that you're lucky you get one or two. But I don't know. I'm usually on the receiving end of it. You know, if we're playing 7 rounds, my guy's got at least 5. My opponent. So they do come up. But like you said, the splats are so rare that it's hard to they're hard to come by. So it doesn't impact the game. But when you do get it, it should be it should be a decent impact on the game.
Yeah, like I don't know that I'd call them rare, but on average you're rolling 3 command dice a turn with 1, maybe 2 extra for tactician. So you're getting 4 or 5 dice, 1 in 6 chance for getting a splat. You've got a decent chance of getting 1 or 2 a turn, but you can't plan on getting more than that. It's definitely going to happen occasionally, but for the most part. And that's also not including rerolls, because as long as you've got half of your strike force, you still get those rerolls as well, which increases your chances a bit. But
well, unless you're playing me, because I roll horrible, so it's not. I wish your numbers actually added up on my end of the table. So.
Unfortunately, there's not a rule set alive that can account with just being bad at rolling dice.
Right.
I mean, the thing with splats is you want them to be special. You want them to be an event when they come up, and you want them to be able to have a significant impact. So yeah, two summons to die. We could maybe look at that, but yeah. Overall, I think we've got a good variety. We've got a good variety of thematically appropriate ones.
Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, if you look around, the Plague one is really good. The Enforcer's got 3 different flavors. The Veerman, I'm not sure yet. We really haven't played much of the Veerman because we don't have the models yet. But that'll be the first army that I think once we crack it open, get the paint on them and get it going. Forge Fathers, you already know my biased opinion. The Asterians. The Asterians, I think, are the truest finesse army. You got to figure out a right way to play them. You can't just run across the field, or you can't. You have to play the Asterians different than any other army in Deadzone. You can't make a combat Asterian army. You can't make a shooting. You have to find some kind of balance. And I think that the Asterians, their special rules really fit the flavor of them. The Cypher Prime's overcharge is such a good rule. So now, if you're taking the Cypher Prime, take a bunch of Cyphers, overcharge their weapons, you're giving them Way to Fire 2 and Rapid Fire. That's just tremendous. It's and then wheels within wheels. It's just an annoying thing when you're on the receiving end of it. The Marauders, each one, like the Marauder Warlord with Green Rage, makes sense. He's going to sight these guys up, and he's going to give them Frenzy 4, which is insane, by the way. But it makes a lot of sense. And then even the Rebs. I'm honestly, I'm not too crazy about the ones. I understand what you're saying, but I guess with my play style, the ones that have to do with the items, I kind of shy away from them. It's just a personal thing. I don't think it's bad per se, but I just kind of shy away from it. But the one, hiding in the shadows. I'm sorry, I got the name all wrong. The hide in the shadows. That is so dirty. When you see a guy standing out in the middle of, he's standing out here, like, oh, what's up, boys? What's up? And he turns on his predator thing, and you can't shoot him. It is fantastic, and the Rebs needed it. And I got to tell you, as far as the Rebs are concerned, we were playing a game the other day where it was the Forge Fathers and Rebs, and it came down 19-22. Final score, because we just added up. I hit 22, and Andrew was playing the Rebs. The new stuff that came out, if you have to find that balance of new and old, and use the splat for that. They are so much. They're like the comeback kids of this new edition. They really are, and I think that was the thing, because everybody had a place in their heart for the Rebs, but they were terrible in the first edition. They were just terrible. You know.
Yeah,
Rebs are definitely a side that's close to all of our hearts, I think. Yeah, and we absolutely wanted to bring them back up to with the other factions, so I'm really glad that's working out.
And now, let me ask you: there's an urban legend of Deadzone going around that someone, I don't know, I heard it from somewhere, that someone heard it from somewhere, like, like in Brooklyn, it's like my brother's sister's cousins, best friends, daughters, aunts, uncles, fathers. It's come down. That at one time Jake said that the Rebs were made to be crappy or made to be not as powerful, so that when the Rebs win, it was like a big deal. Is that true, or is just maybe they want to?
That's a comment that has sort of grown in the telling, I think.
Mm-hmm.
He did say that I can't remember the exact words, so I'm going to get this wrong, but there were words to the effect that the Rebs were a challenge side to play, but I don't think he intentionally made them to be crappy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've heard that same comment a few times, and I've never gone and looked up his original comment, but I'm fairly sure. I mean, he's a professional game designer.
Mm-hmm.
He would not have made a faction intentionally unplayable. It wouldn't have been good for him, and it wouldn't have been good for Mantic.
You know what? Let's break it down on the lowest common denominator. You're a business, and you want to sell models, and these models are terrible. Nobody's going to buy them. They didn't.
Yeah.
The Rebs didn't come in and you remember the big box? The first box, the Deadzone box. It was like 30 pounds of plastic in it.
Yeah.
It only came with the Enforcers and the Plague. When we were at Adepticon, we bought the whole. We bought the Red Faction booster. Yeah, we bought the whole thing there because we knew, what we were going to do, and we bought boosters for everything. So if we were there and he said, listen, don't buy those models. Why? Because Jake made them up to be horrible on purpose. It doesn't make sense. I think maybe it was one of those things where maybe he wrote it and they didn't match up. So now they had to be, I guess, through growing pains they got better, which they absolutely did. They absolutely did.
Yeah, we do have somewhere floating around a few tweaks for Deadzone 1, which never saw the light of day, unfortunately. But we mostly just thought that the old mission deck needed to be adjusted, and I think it was only maybe one or two models that really needed stat adjustments.
Mm-hmm.
But making the missions more completable would have brought them up to par, we think.
So now, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
One of the most obvious ones is the Craw versus the Sorak. That's one that came up quite a bit when we were working on this, and I'm not sure if our changes actually made it into the final book, so that may end up being another errata. But we were trying to find a way to make the Craw or the Sorak more useful, more of a competitive choice in list building, because I mean they're both specialists. Both of them have blasters. They've got very similar stats. The Craw is listed as the same number of points and has glide ability, scout ability, stuff like that. So I mean, trying to find a niche place for the Sorak to fill it, because a lot of people love the Sorak. That's something we found is the Sphere, the Thorax, Teratons to a degree. These are really, really loved species in the community.
I don't think there's one Reb model or character that people don't like. Because like the Teraton. I mean, every single one of them is a love. It's almost like a beloved character. And what's nice about when you're playing the Rebs is you're not playing the Enforcers, where you're playing basically three types of characters. You're playing if you have 12 models, you could have 12 different characters on the field. You have a Teraton, a Sorak, a Craw, then you can have the Saphir Lancer. You can go crazy, and then and don't forget the Yindage. So I think that was the outcry, and it makes sense. But like you were saying about with the point costs, one of the things I have a list of pet peeves here. I have a list that says my pet peeves. Okay, so one of them is like how does it come about? Because Tim, I guess you could help us with this. How does an assault enforcer, let's say an assault enforcer, he is 14 points. He has only 1 victory point, so changing him from the regular enforcer. The only thing is that he's got a 5 fight stat. He is 14 points and he has 1 victory point. A zombie is 6 points, 0 victory points, and has a 5 stat, same stat. In my mind, it's like these are like the elite of the elite fighters, and the shooting guys have a 4+ fight stat, but then he has a 5+ fight stat. So we were discussing this on the podcast where, if the guy if a regular enforcer is a 4+ fight and a 6+, I'm sorry, a 4+ shoot and a 6+ fight, maybe we should reverse that for the assault guy and make him 2 victory points. He'd be a little bit better. But like, how does that come about? Or is that just like the game is so big that things slip through the cracks, or is there a general rule of thumb, or I don't know.
So that's a deliberate design choice from Jake originally. It's the same as it was in Deadzone 1. From my perspective, the enforcers are not an assault army in the way that Plague Reed and the Vigilant are, and that 5+ fight that is their like. The assault enforcer wins fights by stacking the dice in his favor. You want to try and get the other guy pinned, you want to be charging into the cube, and just generally try and get as many dice as you can. So the assault enforcer's not out there leading the charge, he's not the vanguard, but what he is counter-charging people and sort of taking those sneak attacks or surprise pounces on people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where he is. That's why he has that stat. It's maybe not the most in character answer. It's not the most in universe answer, but from the game design standpoint, that's why it is how it is.
But I think he might have gotten nerfed for the simple fact that the rule that was taking out was specifically made him better, which was Brawler. He was rolling 1 extra dice. So now even though before he had a 5+ fight stat, you were rolling minimum 4 dice on him just because he had the Brawler special rule. But now he's just he got knocked down. I mean, I think I'm the one that said it, but even though it's less and less, he's only 1 victory point. So as far as that's concerned, I see the balance in that where he's not as good as say like a regular trooper with the shooting stat and the better shooting weapon. But that's why I bring down that 1 victory point. But with him having Brawler, it made him actually that much better. Like Brawler, I thought that there was going to be an attack stat because the way Ronnie was like, well, if you have 3 dice plus Brawler plus 1, we should just say you have 4. You roll 4 dice, but that's not in it. So that I think that's what made him better in the previous edition.
And I can definitely see that. The other thing you've got to keep in mind, you're comparing him to a zombie,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not just the. You can compare fight to fight. You're not taking in the entire model.
Mm-hmm.
You've also got speed, armor, different abilities. What sort of equipment can they wear? A zombie doesn't have access to energy gauntlets, wrist relay, stuff like that. So even just having those different equipment makes him more valuable than a zombie.
Right.
Zombies are what's the ability? Vulnerable.
Yes. Vulnerable and tough.
Yes, vulnerable and tough, which in itself is a fun combination. But the fact that they're vulnerable, so it's tough to make a comparison of one stat to a two class model, especially when there's so very many models, and you have to take the entire stat line to be able to make a comparison.
Yeah, it's weird because also with the zombies, there's 0 victory points also. So I mean, if you're a player, you have to take a minimum of 9 zombies just because it's so cheap, and you roll them up there, and you don't deal with them. You don't deal. It's bad news. But now here's another thing I have to ask, and it's on my pet peeve list. I had to ask this, and I've been talking about this since the first edition, and it didn't get addressed. And there was a thing going around talking about that there would be an additional rule or whatnot. I have a wrist blade that is an AP1 or used to be AP2 weapon. Okay, I can hit a strider, grab the guy, rip him out, and kill him. But when I hit a plague dog or somebody without armor, it has no adverse effect. Or like the Hulk, he has a AP4 gun. It's a good like armor-piercing gun, takes away your armor. But if that monumentally huge weapon hits somebody without armor, like we call it rolling naked. You know, you don't have any pluses or minuses. So you're going to roll naked against that. But then it's like, it just seems like when the Hulk comes up with his gun, he's got an AP4 gun. All the enforcers, or everybody with armor, like, oh my God, let's hide. And the Rebs are like, no problem, I don't have any armor, I don't care. Where's the give and take with that? Because that's the one thing I didn't understand. Like this thing can punch, like the wrist blade is now it's an AP1, but still it's an AP1 thing. But if I hit a plague dog, I don't do anything to it. I don't get any benefit to having such a strong weapon. Is there is there a reasoning behind that, or is it just the way it is?
It's an artifact of the game. I mean, you jump into Warhammer 40k and fire a melt again at an orc. It don't matter. The orc loses his armor most of the time anyway.
Right.
What it really comes down is it's an opportunity cost. We have the choice of either one, making the game simpler and faster to play like this, or adding in another rule. I mean, we've already added in so many different abilities and stuff. The rules blow has been something. I mean, this was supposed to be a sleeker version of Deadzone, and there's still a lot of abilities and stuff.
Right.
Deadzone podcast was talking about it. There's still a lot of abilities, and we could make a rule that's AP weapons dealt extra damage instead of if you didn't already have armor. But it's just another thing to add in. So it's an opportunity cost. We could make a rule for it, but it's just going to make the rules that much more complicated and intricate.
Yeah, because I think with the new edition, like, you know, people were saying that I was saying that it plays faster and it plays better, but you know, I like a mini wargaming or a war game with rules. It should have rules, because the more rules you have, now rules for the sake of having rules is not good. Rules that actually make sense in the game, that go for situations, make sense. That gives the game depth, because if not, we'd be sitting here talking about checkers. Okay? We're talking about something that, you know, I don't know about you guys. I'm like, all right, if I take the Pathfinder Sergeant, and if I take this piece, I'm always thinking of lists and stuff. I mean, it's a constantly evolving thing. Like I said, we're not playing checkers. You want to play an in-depth game that's fun, and like, you know, you can manipulate the rules, or you can use the rules to your advantage. I think that's where it comes from. But what it is, though, with like you were saying, the rules are faster because you don't have to really. It's not clunky. It's like, all right, well, I'm falling. I got to roll these 3 dice and get 5s. No, now this happened. I got to roll 4s. Now I got to roll another 3s, and it's like, it's just easier now. It's streamlined, but not having rules, or I don't think they've been dumbed down. They've just been like, all right, well, this was a little clunky. We're going to take this out and make it. You just roll 3 dice, and that's it. It makes a lot more sense, and I like that too. But it's not streamlining and dumbing down. It's saying that Dead Zone's dumbed down now is very unfair. I read a few comments like that. I don't think so, and I liked the game. It had a core game, but it had some clunky things to it that I didn't even realize until they were taken out and made better. So,
I mean, what you're sort of pointing to there is the tension between what makes sense in the universe versus what makes for a good game. And every game is going to have that tension. Personally, I'm more on the side of I'm more of a gamer rather than a simulationist. I'm not trying to make a simulation of a world. I'm trying to emulate a specific genre or setting or feeling of a universe. So, in that sense, I would err on the side of simplicity. I would err on the side of what makes interesting tactical choices versus having a special rule to extra super deep kill someone for being hit by an anti-tank weapon.
Well, but even like you were saying, even with Dead Zone, with the few rules that it has and the streamlining and everything, when you talk to the muggles out there who don't play the war games and stuff, and they see me reading a book and say, "What are you reading?" "Oh, I'm reading this book." "Oh, that's very cool. I like the miniatures." So, how do you get into it? "Well, there's a 90-page rule book." Are you out of your mind? Monopoly has half a page. Even we've been playing Pandemic. Pandemic has 2 pages of rules. So we inherently, it's just one of those things where we've come to say, okay, I'm buying a new game, and I got this big ass rule book, but we love that. Even if it's chock full of fluff and there's 30 pages of rules, 30 pages of rules for us is easy. That's just that's a trip to the bathroom. I could be out of there and know the rules on my way out. So, but like you said, emulating a universe and making it streamlined so you could play in that universe is where you have to look at it, not worry about too much of getting caught up on I guess getting caught up on the silly nuances that really don't mean anything. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, you guys want to field some questions because we kind of Rampage. I hate that rule. I hate that rule with a passion. But is there any like Sergeant Hallett has Rampage? Why? The mutations were changed in the faction special rule where it is so much better. Because remember, as a Plague player, I would take 5 or 6 dogs or 1 or 2 stage 3s just in case I got the crappy one where he becomes vulnerable or he becomes slow or whatever, to give it to those models that, like, if I lost a dog or at stage 3, it wouldn't really matter. Now the mutations are incredible, but Rampage is still Rampage. And is there a reason for Rampage, or is that just like the fun side of Dead Zone, or is it because that really sucks when it comes against you? I was playing my final game in Adepticon, and it was Forge Fathers and Plague. It's funny, I traveled all that way, and I ended up playing 2 of the guys that were in the car with me driving down from New York. So the thing is that he was moving the stage 2s up, and he's like, all right. I said, well, you got to roll Rampage. Don't worry, you got to roll anything but a 1. So I end up he ends up rolling a 1. I take over. I move into the square, kill that stage 1 that's standing stage 2 that's standing next to him. I'm sorry, and then the daisy chaining, which is out, which I do agree with, moved into another square, and I killed another guy, and I sort of, and it was just like I wiped out that table quarter almost of his 3 models. So I don't know. Rampage seems like, we're going to take these rules out, but that was kind of like a holdover from the last one. So, any thoughts on that? No thoughts, huh? I stumbled.
No, I got one. I mean, there are a class of abilities in the game that do have drawbacks, and those help lower the cost of models to be something that can be included within your points budget. Yeah, I mean, so that's it. It is partly the fun, evocative side of Deadzone, and it's also partly because you need drawbacks to some things. Like at stage 2A without Rampage becomes expensive to the point where it's almost prohibitive to take it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's really what it's in there for. And yeah, it does suck when it goes against you, but there are times when you roll the 8 and then it's like, oh, I get this whole extra square of movement. That's great.
Right.
Yeah.
Swings and roundabouts.
It's kind of like playing X-Wing, and then you could do something, but you're going to stress yourself out while you're doing it. So there's a positive aspect to it, but there's a negative aspect to it too. It's just
Yeah, and what it comes down to is it's a power curve thing. Certain models are more powerful than others, and if they lie above the power curve level, then an ability like that is what pulls them back down in line with other things.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing if you have a really underpowered model, then you can give it an ability that pulls its power level up to that of the curve. And it's an issue with balancing, and it's tough to get it perfect, especially in the time frame that we had. But I think overall it works really well together, and it's not. I don't play a whole lot of Plague, but I don't think it's prohibitively devastating to you, especially now that the daisy chaining is gone.
Yeah, but I'll tell you though, I'm making the list. I usually just kind of shy away from the stage 2s because of Rampage, and they did lose an AP weapon. They had AP1 claws. Now they don't have anything. So maybe if they did have the AP1 claws and where the points are, and they had Rampage, it would be a little bit more enticing to take them. But now it's just I painted them up. I think I painted out of my whole Plague Army. Those 3 guys that I have are awesome, but I'm nervous to take them. I might take them in a game that doesn't matter, like a one-off game, but to take them in like a campaign or take them in a tournament, it's scary, that randomness. Like taking Gun Crazy away from the Marauders makes the Ripper suit that much better. The Rainmaker suit that much better because there's no randomized to him, and he's got the Splitfire rule. So I think that's the randomness is tough sometimes. As a competitive player, as a fun thing like you get those reactions. But as a competitive player, it's hard to take that stuff.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I'm not a competitive player myself. Like I said, I prefer to play the thematic lists, and I lose constantly because of it. But I can definitely see how the more competitive players would shy away from those sorts of abilities and stuff.
Right. Okay, we got a bunch of YouTube questions. You want to get to a few questions?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, let's go.
All right, so Deadzone the podcast asks, any plans for ally rules like in Kings of War, like doing enforcers teaming up with Forge Fathers? Might be fun.
That's a good. All right, so is there going to be that like as like in 40K? That's all the rage now. Is you can take 4 different. Some guys let you take 4 different detachments. Crazy allies that never did, which is kind of crazy that. When I first got into 40K, I was like, oh, can I put the orcs with the Ultramarines? Oh no, you'll never be able to do that. Now you can. So is there any kind of thing to that? Because I know I have every faction, and I have every model. doubles, triples, quadruples that I would want to maybe mix together, which might be cool. Is there anything like that on the horizon?
Not at this stage. If it's, I don't know, it's something we could potentially look at for a future supplement, but yeah, not at this point.
Yeah, honestly, the if that did happen, I don't know that it would be a tournament rule set, something that would be usable in tournament play or organized league play or anything like that.
Yeah, because as far as a tournament, you could just, I mean, I'm thinking about it now. I could just break 4 lists, like
exactly,
like whatever each faction has its strengths. I'm going to take the strengths of those 4 factions or 3 factions or 2 factions and just throw them on the table. So then now the balance is out the window because everything is OP. Every list will be OP.
Exactly, and it becomes really hard to balance when you're doing that because now it's not the enforcers have three leaders and 3 troops and 6 specialists that we have to balance. Now it's you take your enforcer leader and we have to make sure that that's balanced across all of the options that you can take for troops among all 7 of the different factions, and make sure that that's balanced with all of these specialists you can take with all 7 of the factions, and it just becomes impossible to make sure everything is properly balanced.
Right.
As far as building some sort of a ally system that would work in one-off games or because so one of the things that Arthur put in, he did a really great job putting together the campaign for the for XM4, and one of the things he decided to do was the scenarios that we have in there for the campaign itself have a challenge scenario built into them as well. It's an optional scenario that you can play that makes things harder for one side or the other. It's kind of don't consider it a fair or balanced game, but if you really want to test yourself, test your skill as a player, then you can use these special challenge rules.
That was like a Nexus Psi had those missions where it was like 80% plague but 100% enforcers, or vice versa. It was
exactly.
Correct.
And so doing something along those lines that allowed you to pair up a couple of different factions, or maybe take build your faction or your strike list out of one faction, but take a leader from another faction or something. I think that would be interesting to do. I just don't think it would be viable to do as a official tournament sort of setting.
Yeah, I think like you were saying, more of a campaign, like the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Like,
yeah.
It just so happens that like the Forge Fathers and the Enforcers are here, but then there's a massive outbreak of plague. So there's 200 points of plague, but there's only 175 points, 25 points of Enforcers and 150 points of Forge, some kind of thing like that. That would be kind of good campaign-wise, or just for fun, just to do something crazy like that. But yeah, competitively, there's no way.
Yeah. So like Arthur said, that's not in the works right now, but it's definitely something that we could keep in mind if there's a lot of call for it, and I think it would be interesting and fun. So
yeah, it's just another aspect to the game. Ready?
Yeah. All right. So there's another question by Insane Demon. Is the 200 points default being considered? He's really keen on Coach and the Deadzone podcast's feedback on that.
Okay, so basically, is 200 points where you guys see? I've been a big proponent of 200 points is basically the old 70. How do you guys feel of that? Is that going to be the mean of Deadzone, or is there another points where you see like the average game being played at?
Sure. So there'll be an organized play packet coming out in the near future. Mantic have got a specific guy who's going to be running the organized play program, and there'll be a much like there is already for Kings of War and for Dreadball. There we go. He'll be putting together an organized play pack for Deadzone. Matt Hobday, that's his name.
Yes.
So I think I suggested 200 was a good. It was either 150 or 200. I said was a good space for competitive tournament play. But definitely, sort of 100 is you're just starting out. I've just got my models together, learning the game, get a few quick games in level. 150, 200, you can start bringing in more of your toys and get a lot more tactical options. And 300 is just like your big blowout, massive game happening.
There's no room on the board, 300. There's almost no room on the board.
At that point, you better be pulling out some extra mats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see like you were saying the 200 because in the first game it was you got an echo here. Are you? No. In the first game, 70 points was the when you'd be making a list and you're like at 63, 64, and you don't have something to fit in there. So now it seems like when I'm building a list, I'm around 188, and I'm like, I got those extra 12 points hanging on. Do I try to take a model? Do I give them extra points? Do I give them ammo or whatever? So that's where I see 200.
Yeah, definitely. Sort of 150 to 200 is kind of the sweet spot for the game, definitely.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. One more?
Dread Path Zone says that he thinks that 150 is closer to the old 70. 200 lets you bring the fun stuff that you want.
Yeah, he's wrong. 200's the way to go. Sorry. Sorry.
And another question, Rob Harper says or asks, why is the Enforcer sniper rifle worse than the Rebs one? It used to have AP1, which made sense that it was heavy, but now they are the same.
Okay, so Rob is one of the guys from the Deadzone podcast. So he wants to know why is the what's the difference between the Reb sniper rifle and then the Enforcer sniper rifle, which makes sense because the Enforcer rifle is heavy and it used to have AP1, but now it's not, and the Reb sniper rifle does not have heavy, which I think is fine because I think the Rebs should be a little bit more mobile and they should have a sniper that can run away or move and get into position a little bit better. But if you're setting up a sniper rifle, it should have some kind of AP. There should be, if it's heavy, there should, like you said, the give and take. So what's the fact that it's heavy? What's the take from that?
I mean, I think we, okay. I sort of see the Rebs rifle as sort of being more like like an AR-15 or something that somebody's just slapped a scope on, rather than a dedicated sniper rifle as such. You do get a slightly longer range from the Enforcer one, which of course, if you're playing one mat, what's the difference
Right,
there?
doesn't matter.
Yeah. It was really more to be balanced within the side rather than against each other so much. I think that's probably a fair way of looking at it that way.
You can also look at the fact that the Enforcer snipers are going to be more survivable than the Rebs snipers are. So leaving them in the same place is going to be more doable, just because they've got the armor, they've got a higher survive stat, so they're already at an advantage over the rebel snipers. So there's that to consider as well. Again, it's just like I was talking about with comparing the fight stats, comparing the weapons from one army list to another is going to be tough because you have to also take into account the fact that each of the models that can actually carry such weapons are going to be different in what stats and abilities they have.
So when you're looking at points cost, you're looking at the total weapon and model together. Not so like basically sniper rifles are not all created equal because of who's grabbing it as far as the
Mhm.
points cost are concerned. And so it's
That's
not like I grab.
that's actually what one of the big things that we had to get into when we started building the different point costs. Because if you remember back in the early days, there was when the first beta came out, it was any model can take any of these weapons, and you just pay the point cost, and they've got it. And part of the problem with that was, and that's why we ended up building Uh, this equipment system that we did, is that not all weapons are created equal, especially when compared to who can carry it. You give a really powerful weapon to someone like a, a regular Rebs trooper, as compared to giving that same weapon to a peacekeeper. And all of a sudden, that weapon becomes much more valuable because the peacekeeper is so much more survivable.
Mhm. I got you. Yeah. So when we're thinking about it, as far as like, oh, this is OP or this is not balanced, you have to take the whole model in and of itself, not just you know you know if a 2-year-old pulls out a sniper rifle and then a Navy SEAL pulls out a sniper rifle, obviously it's the same weapon but going to be used differently. So that makes a lot more sense. That makes it easier to digest what the point costs are. That makes a lot of sense. Like you said with the fighting stat before.
Yeah,
So
and heavy is one of those abilities that, like I said, is used when something's a little bit above the power curve. That's one of those abilities like Rampage that we can use to pull it back down again. The sniper rifle, as it was written for the enforcers, was really really good, as opposed to the rebels sniper rifle being not as good. And so by using heavy, we're hoping to be able to pull the enforcer sniper back down a little bit to make sure that he's not sitting above the curve too much.
well,
And it's imperfect, but that's the hope.
but when you think about it, he's got a sniper scope, and you're always going to put him at least one level up. 90% of the time, he's going to be a level up. So he's already rolling 3 extra dice just for
Mhm.
the whole fact that even though it's heavy, so you're going to have to burn a command dice on him to get him where you need to get him, and then he's going to have to, you're always rolling 2 or 3 dice minimum extra with him. So a sniper with 6 dice is like you said. That's powerful even without the AP. You're just hitting him with weight of fire. And you throw a few 8s in there, some bad things are going to happen. So
And when you're rolling 6 dice, there's a good chance that at least one of them is going to be an 8.
right, except when you play me, because just.
Of course.
All right, I have a question now. As far as missions are concerned, let's talk missions. I'm not going to debate the missions or this and that because you guys already know my certain missions I do like, certain I don't like. But like opinions are like buttholes. Everybody got one. Sometimes they stink. I'm a big proponent of that, and I know on that I'm not right. But it's like anything else. You like chocolate, you like vanilla. It's the way it is. But the one thing I have to ask is this. Let's say, for argument's sake, we go with the mission. Let me just open it up because I could make it. I can make my point easier if I have it in front of me. All right. Let's go with the scour mission. I roll a 1 or 2 for my secret mission. I get scour. Okay, and that's basically kill enemy models, retrieve items for 1 victory point. Finding intel, they become 2 victory points. Okay, if I do my secret missions for scour, 3 to 4 is each friendly model that moves off the board in the enemy deployment zone earns twice their value. Items carried off the board in this manner get one board. Mother load is intel's worth 5. Retrieving items is worth 0. Disrupt. Gain an additional 1 victory point for killing an enemy model carrying an item from a crate. The question I have is this. Some of the missions, the core mission is, let's say, A. But then I get a secret mission, from 3 to 8. One of those, one of the 3 secret missions, and they are almost in direct opposition to the core mission. You know what I mean? Does the secret mission kind of circumvent or take over for the core mission? Because like in one thing it says, let's say killing enemy models, you get their victory points, and in another one it says, you know, you get an item and you get more points for that. Killing guys, you don't get anything. It's like it's very almost contradictory to itself. How do you guys see that we should play the missions with the secret missions?
So the secret mission trumps the default mission.
Okay.
So yeah, let me just
because that would make sense, because it's like if you kill the enemy leader, you get 0 points, but in the core mission it says killing an enemy model getting their victory points. So that makes a lot of sense. Secret mission trumps it. Yeah.
So I mean, like say Scour, if you get the disrupt words. Sorry, so Scour, you get the Motherlode mission.
Mm-hmm.
You still get points for killing enemy models. You still get points for the intel, but you don't get to carry models. You don't get to carry items off the board.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So now, so I'm sorry. So say for in Scour you get Motherlode, you would get points for killing the enemy models, but the intel is worth 5, but you retrieve an item it's worth 0. So
That's
basically, right. You're gonna try to find the intel for 5.
Yeah.
You retrieve the item, but you don't get nothing for it. But basically, you're fishing for items, and then killing an enemy model, you just get your regular victory points. So basically, it's just 0 for that. So it replaces that. But then the core mission that it doesn't touch, that core mission stays with you. Is
correct.
That correct? Okay. Because I know some of them, like, it's if you kill an enemy model, you'll get double the victory. You kill the leader, you get double the victory points. But if you kill the regular guys, you get 0. So that would mean that you get 0, or you still get your victory points from killing those models.
In that example, you would not get the. Hang on, sorry. Okay, so patrol assassination. I just so I can get the book in front of me.
Which one would you like to discuss? Patrol, because then I just like to get there also.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So yeah, patrol assassination, I guess. So for that one, you would just get your regular points from killing guys. You would get 0 points for holding an objective, but if you kill the enemy leader, you'd get double their VP cost.
Right. And then everything else, the core mission is just still there. Just
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, but now let's say, see, like this one is tough because if you do a patrol mission, objectives earn double the victory points. Model kills are worth half. So it's kind of like a,
This is staking a claim. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So you're saying that if it in your core mission, if the secret mission doesn't address something from the core mission, you keep that aspect of the core mission, replacing it with the secret mission.
Yes.
Am I close? Okay. All right. Now I got it, because we were a little confused because it was like
the secret missions only. If the secret mission specifically addresses something to change, then that is changed. Everything else remains the same.
Okay. All right. So that makes more sense, because not knowing that, it's like, all right, if you kill an enemy model, for argument's sake, you kill an enemy model, you get double, but then if you hold an objective, you get 0. But wait, the core mission says to hold objectives. Now I got it. So like I'll be holding an objective for 0 to throw off my opponent, thinking that I'm supposed to be holding that objective. I got you. That's just there should be a blurb that says something like that. Like if it doesn't address it, you're good. If it does address it, the secret mission trumps it. But if it says holding an objective is the regular amount of points, and it doesn't say something in the secret rules, because we were a little confused with that. It was like, yeah, but it says this, but we're supposed to do this. So how can it be worth double, but now it's worth half? So is it worth 3 points instead of 2? We were a little confused with that, but now that makes a lot of sense. So I'm glad because it was tough because I was like, wait a minute, I should be winning, but no, it's half. All right, we got through all my pet peeves. Any questions? No, I'm good so far. Hey, listen, the game is very good. I had a few things, but I'm glad that we're able to just get it out there. Like I said, my pet peeves are pet peeves. That doesn't diminish the job that you guys did and the appreciation and love for the game. It's just that like Tim was saying, to me it makes a lot more sense now as far as where you're looking at points cost and balancing points cost, as opposed to, well, listen, his rifle does this and my rifle does that. It makes a lot more sense because you're looking at the model as a whole with the weapon, not just some guy just picking up a gun, or just you get some guy with a knife that can't do anything. But then again, if you have a Teraton and he has the same blade as a Craw, obviously the Teraton should be a little bit more powerful with it just because of the size and the strength. So it makes perfect sense. All right, so Andrew, you're gonna hit us with a question?
Oh, sorry. Just before you do, I just wanted to do a quick shout out. People in the YouTube comments, you might notice a guy in there responding to questions by the name of Pepperpunk. That is Mark Smith. Mark is also on the Rules Committee and has just done a ton of work. He couldn't be with us today because he couldn't find a mic or a webcam or anything. But yeah, if you see Pepperpunk in the comments, that's Mark. He's
what was that author again? What was the name again?
Pepperpunk.
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 Is he down there?
Let's see. Yeah, he was. He was responding to some of the comments.
Okay, so we'll just read. That's Mark, right? We'll read.
Yeah.
Mark.
Okay, so he's got a bunch of comments that he wrote down. Go ahead, Andrew. Yeah.
Well, he was responding to some of the people's questions.
Okay, so come on, get him out. Let's get him out.
When Insane Demon said about 200 points being defaulted, he said possibly I found that 150 works well as a midpoint between the two, and then that's what he was said.
Yeah, tell Mark you're wrong. 200 points is the mean. That's it. I have spoken. Okay. Anything else? What did he say else?
When Deadzone the podcast talked about their Nestanza killing everybody, he said that she should have some difficulty if there's plenty of terrain, although I recall her being overpowered in version 1, so we might need to look at that.
Yeah, she was in version 1. That was she had the Enforcer sniper rifle without the heavy rule, and that in and of itself with a good with a good shoot stat and the range was just ridiculous. So even if you did hide from her, the thing was you just had to overwhelm her. So the thing that kind of sucked about having her, not that her abilities or that she was so good, the fact of the matter is that if you saw Nestanza on the board, the main objective was just to kill her first. You got to get her out of there first because she was just, the sniper rifle was, AP, I think it was AP1 or I'm not sure, but it was, let's assume AP1 was non-heavy with a 18 cube distance. She was just totally terrible to deal with. Now she's not as bad, but she is still good. I don't know, but then again, Rob can't roll for anything, so he's I was wondering, Rob, are you using one of those? I sent him a few Enforcer lists. I was just wondering how they were working out. Okay, any other questions?
Well, another response from
Mark.
Yeah.
Okay.
When Dreadpath Zone asked if there was rules for XAM, he said there are only a few there are fully rules for XAM with weather and environmental effects, along with a new D88 table to roll on everything you need to run campaigns in the exam.
Mm.
I think that's IB is 5, I think. No,
What's that?
that's
4.
4. Dead Zone. So.
Okay, so that's what what you were saying before, Arthur, about that Exum is going to have a bunch of rules in the D88. So now let's one of the things. I guess we're getting to the end here, but real quick, what's a good way? Myself, I am a one-off player. You know, former. You know, coming from Warhammer, and you know, but you see, I'm kind of a contradictory because I would play a campaign as far as Dungeons and Dragons is concerned, but then Warhammer, it's like I call you up, Tim, meet me at the store. We're going to play 2,000 points. All right, no problem. We get together, we play a game, we have a lot of fun, and then we go about our way. The Dead Zone campaign, I have never played a campaign. We're waiting for the new Kickstarter to come out, and once it comes out, we said, or you know, it's a little too late now to start a campaign from, say, the Dead Zone book or one of the other ones, but Infestation, let's get in there, let's do a campaign, let's do it the way you guys designed a campaign to do. What do I got to do? Like, what's a few? I don't know if you could sum it up. Like, how should I start coming from not ever running a campaign or not being involved in a campaign? What do you guys have any advice for that?
Okay, so I've run a couple of campaigns in my time, and the first thing you gotta especially for this one, Arthur did a really good job of putting this one together. The way it's set up is hopefully you can get it done in a weekend. Just throw the models down, play through each of the scenarios, and get all the way through the campaign in one weekend. Especially if you've already got the terrain sitting to the side, you just pull it out and get playing through them. The first thing you've got to understand is that it's going to be you have one or two choices. You can either try and smash it all out in one weekend, like I said, put a lot of time toward it, or you need to be willing to string it out over several weeks. Like if you only have time to play one game a night or something, or one game every Saturday or something, then it might take you 5 weeks to finish the campaign. Okay. So either way, unlike a one-off game, it's a time commitment. So the first thing you got to understand is that it's a time commitment, and you have to be willing to put the time into continuing the story that way. Go ahead, Arthur.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, one of the things about the way we've written the campaign section in the Dead Zone main rule book is there's sort of a bit of advice in there around how to set things up. But probably for your first ever attempt at campaign play, just try and keep it as simple as possible. One thing that my one thing that my high school group did with Necromunda is people would just schedule a regular game. They would roll their after game level ups and everything, and then just schedule another game with whoever was free the next week. So you can just quite legitimately do a floating campaign, I guess, where you just rock on up, play a game, you do your post-game level up stuff, and then next week you find somebody else in the group to do that. And you just do that for as long as you like. Maybe you just do it for 6 games and then see who's gotten the most wins over those 6 games, and that's your campaign. And once you get comfortable with that, you can start introducing more complicated rules, doing set scenarios, that sort of thing.
So in the campaign, you can make up for the shortcomings of certain guys by getting abilities and things like that later on, like Deadeye and stuff like that. Is basically
yeah. So the way we built it is we really wanted to evoke a storyline situation, and so it's built so that your characters are gaining experience, going up ranks, and you can as they go up ranks, they get ability scores and new abilities and stuff like that. And like Arthur said, that's the kind of thing that I did. Is we would get together on the weekend. We would set aside 4 or 5 hours, and we would play. We would play together, and we'd ask someone if they wanted to play a game. It would be sort of like a one-off. We'd play through the game, and then we would apply whatever results came at the end of that game, and then we'd find someone else to talk to, someone else to play with, and you just do that for 4 or 5 hours. We'd say goodbye, and then we'd meet up again the next week and keep going. And it's so if you're playing a floating campaign like that, which is my preferred way of playing, then it's just a matter of finding a time when you can get together with your friends and making sure that you go through all the steps to keep the roster progressing. One of the things that we wanted to make sure worked is one of the problems with Necromunda. Sorry, my kids just got home, so I'm gonna have to take off here in a second. But one of the things that one of the problems we had with Necromunda was if you ever played it, as the campaign goes on, one person tends to jump out ahead of everyone else, and everyone else starts to lag further and further behind. And we wanted to fix that, and so I used a lot of my economics training to try and make sure that people didn't fall too far behind, that there was some sort of a method to pull the worst off player up as they move on. Anyways, I've got to get going, so I'm going to go ahead and let Arthur and Mark take over from here. But it was great being on here. Thanks for having me. You guys take care.
Is there anything you want to say, like as far as promoting like a YouTube or your Facebook or your Twitter?
Nothing right now. If you guys, I'm actually working on a few projects right now, but I haven't had a chance to actually get anything posted to YouTube or anything. If you guys have me again, then I'll be glad to ask for a shout out. But for now, here, this is my oldest son, Reed. Say hi.
What's up, Reed? How are you?
How are you?
Hey, look, I'll do the same thing. Look, here's my oldest son. Hi. Hi, how are you? You gonna hang out with Daddy tonight?
Yeah, we're gonna go play some games, huh?
Yeah, we want to play this.
What are you gonna play?
What game do you want to play?
Oh,
He likes Mario.
Oh, all right.
oh Mario. Mario's good. Mario?
Okay, well, I'm not going to take up any more of you guys' time. Again, thanks for having me. You guys take care. It was great being here.
Thanks a lot. We appreciate it, Tim. We'll be in touch.
Let's go.
Sounds
Thanks,
good.
Tim.
Yep.
Catch you
bye.
later.
We have any? All right, so it's just me and you, Arthur. Time to duke it out.
Hey.
All right.
All right.
Do you have any questions? Yeah, you come over here.
Well,
A little bit.
all right. Well, Deadzone the podcast just said that he I'm here now. Hello. Deadzone the podcast said thanks for the great show, Coach. Party is starting, so we could go, but we'll listen to the full show later. So they're gone. Let me see if there's any other questions.
Oh, what models are we looking forward to the most when Infestation ships out?
Yeah, I just saw that.
Yeah. I'm really on board for the Hund, the guy with the four hands guy. I've seen a few renders of that, and a few of the test casts, and that just looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, for me, I don't know. I think the some of those the Veerman models look pretty cool. The Piper guy where he's pointing, that's pretty cool. You know.
Yeah.
Let's see, any other questions? I don't see any. Somebody asked about what favorite infestation model. What's your favorite?
I don't know. I don't have any.
Or when it comes.
When it comes, myself, you're asking me.
Well, somebody asked.
I'm looking forward to the Piper.
Yeah, that's what I said.
And also the forward observer. I'm kind of looking forward to that. And then Blaine on a jet bike with all the blades and stuff. That's going to be something special. Is Blaine on a jet bike? He's getting any special rules?
Wait and see the book. That's I don't want to release any spoilers for him. Sorry,
but he will have something cool.
He is pretty cool. He is pretty cool. Yeah, for definite.
Because I see the blades where, I mean, this is just me. So, and if you want to say I'm right or wrong, whatever. I think that if he flies, let's say, from one cube to the other and passes through 2 or 3 enemy models, the blades maybe can cut him on the way through or something cool like that. Because if Blaine is as nasty as Blaine is, that's like an ability he should have. You know.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, he's actually going to be in the core book, so yeah, just keep an eye out for him.
Okay, that sounds good. Something to look forward to. All right, Arthur, you want to duke it out? We'll talk about the. Is there another question or?
Yeah.
No. We'll duke it out about the psychic
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah, sure. So that was sort of like a pet hobby horse of mine. I just remember going through rules and looking at the Trovar and thinking, oh my god, this guy in Deadzone 1, he has like 3 pages just for his psychic rules, and they each are an individual test. And okay, I tell a lie, it's like 1 page, not 3 pages, but still.
Well, it was one model that had the most amount of rules just for him, specifically for him.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know, just something clicked. I'm like, well, what if we just make them weapons? And that actually sort of solved quite a few design problems further down the track. So yeah, it just became just chucking a couple of extra weapon abilities, quote unquote, that mostly live with psychic powers, and yeah, it just really streamlined the whole thing. Because yeah, and I mean, I know your objection was like, it's a hard sci-fi game. I don't need magic in my hard sci-fi game.
Oh no, I wasn't saying that. I just think that I do want that in the sci-fi game, like, because I understand that in the sci-fi game, like Deadzone, or let's say 40K, you tap into the warp, or Kings of War or Dungeons and Dragons, you have magic. There is that extra, like, superpowered thing in almost every game, and every game has that. And every good science fiction, look at Star Wars with the Force. There's always something like that in it. And my objection wasn't to the fact that it was in it. It was like it's good, but it's there's so much potential there. I don't think it's been realized yet, and maybe that'll be in 3.0. But and then the Trovar Psychic has now they're better psychic abilities that he has, but he's still a squishy model. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He could be taken out in 1 round of shooting, and to have all these really cool things. Now, as far as the Tangle, using the Tangle, haven't used it yet. We haven't played it yet. I didn't want to talk about the Tangle good or bad because obviously I never played it, and it'd be bad to have an opinion on it. But like with the Trovar Psyker, he never really made it out of round 1, round 2 the most because he's just so squishy. That was my objection to it more than that. But I understood like the psionics or that cool ability, which I do like. But like I said, it was something missing. You got me, Arthur?
Right. I mean, yeah, definitely. Like he's sort of the Trovar is sort of like the only model apart from the Tangle that really has these abilities at the moment. And I guess it a lot will depend on what direction the studio wants to go. But I could absolutely see, having nailed the core problem of how do you model these things functionally, they're another weapon, and so fall into that system. Having solved that problem, there would absolutely be scope to give psychic abilities and different kinds of psychic abilities to other models. Absolutely.
Yeah, because it was like the last thing was it was a 3 dice 4+ test, 3 dice 5+ test, 3 dice 4+. It was too much. Now it's like, I like the streamline to it where I'm gonna do a power. Which power are you gonna do? I'm gonna do this one. It's almost like a shooting attack, and
exactly,
and it's great because, all right, so whatever it is, it's a 3 dice 4+ test, and I'm gonna reactivate this model, or I'm gonna reinvigorate this model. That's fine. Oh wait, I have a +1 shoot action, so I can do 2 psychic tests. So by putting that as a weapon or using it as a shooting attack, made it so much better. And I'm looking forward. I think, if you're going to be in charge of that, I think the psychic powers, you know what I mean? It's like it's hard to compare it to, let's say, 40K with the warp and everything because it's been around forever. But I see that there's a core for psychic abilities in there. I think it would be very cool. And I don't know. I'm not a game designer. I'm just a player, and I have a wish list. You know what I'm saying? Like something.
Yeah.
It's right there. But and just personally, the Chovar Psychic, I just really don't like that model. I just, for me, it's just a big jellyfish.
Yeah. No, I'm one of these days. I'm absolutely gonna convert one to Blasto, the Spectre from Mass Effect fandom.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, and the other thing too, you brought up 40K. The presence of psychic powers in 40K sort of speaks to the horror setting of
Correct.
that element, where the fundamentally psychic powers are something that's evil and dangerous and from outside the natural order, and just even thinking about that is going to lead you to horrible wreck and ruin. Whereas I see Deadzone being more of a military sci-fi, not harder sci-fi. The focus is more on the individual, and psychic powers are not supernaturally evil. They're just another facet of the universe.
Right. Where the corporation finds out about these psychic powers and exploits them to their benefit. Not so much the grim dark, but one of the short stories had a bunch of Chovar Psychers being in the short story thing that came out. The containment program. So we were Nexus side, and I remember there was one story where a guy walked in, one of the Pathfinders walked in, and there was like 4 or 5 Chovar psychics in this kind of like when Luke Skywalker in Empire Strikes Back after he got scratched, he's in that big metal glass tube, and they were siphoning off the psychic powers or something like that, probably for the benefit of the corporation to be used as a weapon. That's a cool aspect to it, like where I don't know, we took this stuff and put it into a gun, and now you can reinvigorate, or you can whatever. I don't know. I'm just kind of spitballing it here, but like you said, I like that aspect of it where it's like, all right, we're gonna, the corporation is gonna use this, or maybe they're Starians, because the Starians seem like a bunch of scumbags also. So maybe they have psychic powers and they're going to use that to their advantage, weaponize it in some way or somehow. I don't know, but man, we're right on the cusp. It's so close,
Yeah, and I mean, we'll definitely develop that section of the game more as time goes on. Mm-hmm. But yeah, sort of. Yeah, the role of psionic powers is more along the lines of military sci-fi as opposed to supernatural horror. Yeah,
Yeah, that's very cool because it's different.
exactly.
It's totally different, and you could use it to your advantage and not worry about, not really, like in 40K you roll perils. This way, it's like, it's. I never understood that. Like even playing Dungeons and Dragons, sometimes it doesn't go off, and if it does go off, you can, you get sucked into the vortex. And I mean, I lost like a 30 level wizard just because he got, if I rolled on a 20-sided dice, I'm never going to roll a 1, no problem. And I rolled a 1, I got sucked into the ninth plane of hell or something like that. And it sucked, man. I had that guy for like 4 or 5 years. You build this guy up, and like, wait, no, you're the dungeon master. Bring him back. No, he's gone. He's gone. Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess if I was your DM, I would have made an adventure for the rest of the party to go and get him back.
Yeah, that would. Well, yeah. My guy was a hard ass. It was. You're dead. He couldn't have been sucked into another dimension or something like that. I guess less imaginative.
Yeah, but hey, these things happen.
Yeah. To me, a lot it happens. So, do we have any good questions, Andrew? Or
no, that's it.
That's it.
Yep.
All right. So you want to let's do this. Let's bring the computer over. We're running 2 computers here just because next time when we do this again, Arthur, I'd love to do this again. We'll have the chat up where it's right on the screen and we can go through it. But let's say I'd like to thank Jack, my man, Jack Fike. Jack a Muggle is basically a guy who doesn't play mini wargaming. And if you watched, I know they don't have a lot of TVs up in Canada, but there are Harry Potter movies and they call people without magic Muggles. So there you go, brother. Deadzone, he's got a channel. He's doing Deadzone and Warpath. I'm digging what he's doing. I like it. So maybe we could do a little cross projects together. That'd be awesome. Rob Harper, fellow Deadzone podcast guy. There's him and Jack are on the Deadzone podcast, or Jake, if you want to call him Jake. Who else? Devil Mix 82. I know I seen him on the he's on the comments of the Infestation over there. I don't really go to those comment sections on the Infestation one, on the Kickstarter one, because some of those guys are a little too negative and a little too just a little too judgmental or silly for my taste. But Devil Mix 82, we had a few good conversations up there. Insane Demon, thanks for hanging out with us. And I see there's a bunch of other guys. Pepperpunk Design, that's Mark. We got to get you a phone or something so you can come on with us, talk. And I know there's a few other guys watching. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with us. It's been an absolute pleasure. I want to thank Tim and Arthur for really kind of coming on. I know my love for Deadzone now is just even more, and my understanding of the creative process is more. And you've answered a lot of questions that were unanswered, and why things are the way they are. So I really do thank you for hanging out with us and telling us that.
Oh, hey, thanks for having us on. It's been a real blast.
This has been great. Oh man, we've been talking for a while. It seems like 5 minutes, but Arthur, you have anything you want to say, or how can people get in touch with you? I know you're on the Facebook and whatnot. I know there's some changes going on, but anything you want to shout out there?
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, Facebook is sort of my social media of choice. Just Arthur Monteith Carr, the hyphen, that's me. Most of my stuff is just boring local politics or nerdery, but feel free to follow me if you want. But yeah, no, I just want to say thanks for having me on, and thanks to everyone watching, and thanks to the wider Deadzone community, because we really can't do what we do without you guys, and just the passion and the dedication and the civility too. You're just a great community. And
absolutely,
we love you to pieces.
Absolutely. So as you guys know, this is gonna automatically go to to YouTube. So if anybody missed it, or there's some stuff you want to go back and see, it's going to be on Family of Gamers 777. As far as us, we have our YouTube channel. We are on Family Gamer 777. We have a Facebook page. Also, I've been Twitterized. Coach, it's FOG. What is it? I don't even know. Oh, it's FOG Coach 777 or FOG 777 Coach. I don't know. I'll put it in the thing below. I just started it. We do have an Instagram, Family Gamer 777. We're going to be bringing more battle reports, more painting stuff. I'm painting up. My goal is to get everything painted that I have so that when Infestation comes out, I can get right to it. But I'm looking forward to this, Arthur. You, Tim, we'd like to get Mark on here. Maybe we get Ronnie and Jake next time, and we can, right after Infestation comes out, I think I would like to maybe schedule something a month from now or maybe 2 months from now when we get a bunch of games in and we can kind of digest even more the new stuff, and then we could discuss it there. If you guys would be up for that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I would love that.
Okay, sounds good. All right, guys. Thanks for sticking with us. I appreciate it. Like, rate, comment, subscribe. We'll see you in the next one, and hopefully we do a lot more of these. Take care.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.